Many years later, I mean, I wanted to be a pilot. Alright? That's my first thing. A pilot or an architect. Moving forward of that, I ended up in music. Right? Because my dad is an engineer, is a singer.
Yeah.
I also had tremendous ears for sound. So after school, I left Trinidad and I went to NYU. NYU, I did physics and sound and all the other attachments that came.
You studied photography abroad as well?
No.
No?
Never studied photography. Ever.
Okay.
No one ever taught me anything. Ever.
And yet he's one of the best in Trinidad, eh?
It's a natural thing. It really is. So I did sound and engineering and physics and anything that came with that. Life is not what you think it's supposed to be. It's actually an amalgamation of things and events and stories. And I'm leading up to why I became a photographer. So don't think this is long-winded. No point. It's from there. I mean, let's go back to 1993.
Wow, 1 year old. I was 1.
92, 93. In fact, in 92, I started working at a company called Uptown Records in New York, right? Straight out of college. I was one of the assistant producers at Uptown. We used to do people like Lil Kim and Biggie and...
Seriously?
Yeah. So,
that's awesome.
Puffy, Sean.
Puff Daddy
was one of the producers at that time, one of the junior producers at that time. We did those albums, we did a whole bunch of other rappers, a whole bunch of other stuff, Heavy D, all kind of different stuff.
Yeah.
So I got into the entertainment business. So we did a lot of concerts and stuff, shows, and did sound for Selena before she died. I did stuff for the Eagles and all kind of different rock stars and rappers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Came back to Trinidad with that knowledge, thinking that I could change things for Trinidad. No. Everybody wants to have the same bullshit, same game. Everybody in Trinidad thinks that with the development of any industry, it's time for change.
Change, of course.
They don't see change. They don't want change.
Change is inevitable, though.
Yeah, it's inevitable, but if you force it, it becomes futuristic. If you don't, it becomes past tense change.
Yeah.
Like, for example, right now, we are still stuck in 1986.
In the music industry?
In the music industry, in the fashion industry, in almost every industry.
Yeah.
Right? Let me tell you why. I came back and I did one test. I mean, I work with everybody from Marshall to Shadow to every Calypsonian to
soca
every
artists.
Soca, right? So after a while, I realized that they didn't want to change things. So I did a test. And I told them, I said, play your favorite soca song. They played it. And I said, play your favorite pop song. We played something, I can't remember what it was. I said, play something else, something that we're not familiar with. So we find some Indian music, throw it out. It had some Chinese music there in the studio.
Straight out.
Huh?
Same thing.
Right? Now, the reason for doing this is so that people would understand. When you have when you have something and you are accustomed to something, you don't want to know. For example, if you have corn soup, would you put a boiled egg in your corn soup?
No.
Just off the top of your head. That's not something you would naturally do, right?
No.
I wanted people to go to. Right? I wanted people to try to change. For example, going back to that music test, they heard all types of different things. Oh, this music and that music and this instrument and that instrument, and say, okay, all these things are fine. But we are in a business that affects people visually, sound, senses.
Kinesthetically.
And part of your senses is see, touch, taste, everything. But with music, it's an emotional thing. Right? It either pumps you up or brings you down or comforts you. And if that music with all of those different elements, if it does not capture you, or as I used to call it, hug you up, if it doesn't hug you up, it's pointless and it serves no purpose. Now, this is all bearing on fashion.
Yeah.
When you have a song that is ticking, 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 and clean the truck and look the girl there, wave your hands up. Okay, that's fine. It come like param, cake, ham, toys, clean out the house, neighbor with my brush, I want to paint, whatever it is. And it's for this window. It's this valuable because it's just for that day. When you look at soca at that standpoint, and then you look at other things, it's not that way. If you play your favorite soca and then you play a Michael Jackson, it's a completely different feeling. Not to say that it's any better.
Yeah.
Music is music, right? Jamaican music, reggae music, music is music. But Michael Jackson's music, or anybody's music for that matter, Usher, this one, that one, when you play it, there is a feeling that the music engulfs you. To me, I think at the time, soca used to compact you rather than to involve you. There is no emotional anything, and the only person that got that was Marshall. Marshall he was an engineer, and he did an engineering degree in somewhere in Middle America, some Middle America college. And he, around the same time, and he did the same. Right after that, like 1995, around there, they had this song in Toro Toro. Remember that song?
Yeah.
Now, if you listen to that song, it build you up from the start, take you down, soothe you out, you know, and then when you hear the big truck go on, blow, and then we got the big truck, and we go back, so, you know, it take you down, when the big truck shut down, it come back down, and then it build you back up. So it's an emotional thing, that's big truck. Same thing with Toro. If you realize that it start big, come down, bring it back. Any Michael Jackson song, any pop song, anything, there is a recipe. And there's a recipe for photography. Now, that recipe would lie in everything that encompasses the visual. For example, you're looking at these pictures here. How many people do you think, this picture behind you, how many people do you think it took to achieve that picture?
You need a makeup artist, you need a hairdresser, you need a designer and a photographer and other people to help set stuff in order.
Yeah.
Would probably have one for the makeup, It'll need one for the hair. It would need the photographer. And it would need somebody to help just put the modeling form. I guess at least 4 or 5.
There's some educated people in the room, which is good. A lot of people don't see that. Right?
It's a lot of work.
Production is everything, right? You ever watch a movie? Simple movie. Simple movie. A house, 4 actors, and that's the movie. It's, 4 or 5 people in the whole movie. And it's just right there. It's all take places in a house. You ever watch the end of the movie? See how much people are coming down? That, people don't pay attention to that.
They can't.
Walk out the movie.
Yeah.
But